Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. Now if you're feeling that there's something a little bit off in your home or your workplace energetically, then this video might give you some insight, because I'm going to be talking about the house healing work that I do. So I'm going to tell you what it is, how I started in this work, and what things can cause issues in your home. So there are many definitions of house healing, and of course lots of different practices for this. So all that I can do is to share with you my perspective built from the work that I do and my experiences to date. But I know that every day I learn something new, so my viewpoint is ever evolving and changing, and that's the most exciting thing about the work of house healing and harmonization. Now, I'm both a house healing professional and I'm a house healing student, and I think that's just perfect. So for me, house healing is a process that I use to understand all of the factors that are impacting a home or a workplace or a location, and really specifically the things that are not harmonious to health and well-being of the people who reside or work there. And I get to unlock the healing potential and to be of service to the physical and the non-physical energies. Now, I came to the realization that there were multiple factors going on that affect health, and that was in my work helping people to heal themselves, in my energy healing work. And I realized that health is far more complex than just body systems, predispositions, and maybe DNA. Now, I know mainstream science and the medical professionals, are embracing more and more the mind-body connection, and can see the powerful healing that occurs when a person's mindset is oriented towards health and healing and not disease. However, this really is just part of the picture of wellness, because there are far more things that play a largely unseen role in creating disharmony in our energy vibration. Now, my journey with house healing and land harmonization probably began almost 30 years ago, although I didn't know it at the time. But over the years, I've explored many aspects of the subtle energetic realm. I've developed, knowledge and skills and experience that have been, I feel, leading me towards this work, whether I knew it or not. So the work that I do as a house healer brings what I thought perhaps were disparate passions all together. It really is an integrating thing. Now, my attention to the fact that the very home we live in or the place that we work in could be contributing to ill health, well, that was really first captured when I heard of something called sick building syndrome when I was living in the UK. Now, the phenomenon of sick building syndrome, or SBS, is believed to cause adverse effects in the occupants of specific buildings. And the major feature of sick building syndrome is that the effects usually begin to disappear on leaving the sick environment. Now, it was first reported during the 1960s due to the modern building methods that were being employed, and the desire to make them more energy efficient. So sealing windows and doors, maybe new forms of ventilation, and even the building materials themselves were contributing to what was going on. And in the 1970s, it became more prevalent. And really in the 1980s, it started to take hold as a real thing. Back in the UK, the Health and Safety Executive wrote reports on the topic, and even Prince Charles weighed in, blaming city planners and architects for the phenomena that was being experienced. And I worked down the road from a building that was labelled as a sick building, and it made the local news for months and months. And at the time, it really piqued my interest and opened my mind to some different possibilities. Now, investigations into sick building syndrome pinpointed scientific and rational reasons for a building to be labelled as sick. But I wondered if there was also an energetic component to this as well, that just was being ignored. I had a suspicion, but I didn't have the knowledge, the language, or the experience to be able to put my finger on the things that my spidey senses were telling me. But my mind was opened, and so I was interested in exploring more. But it wasn't until I moved jobs and I moved into a mental health trust that I started to see a real correlation between the intangible aspects of the universe and health. Now, at that time, I was fully immersed in spirit and energy healing work by then. I was working with a group who did energetic and spiritual house cleaning. I did spirit rescue work as well. I was growing my Reiki and my crystal therapy practice, of fully immersed in this subtle energy work. I was also learning the practice of dowsing then, and how these tools can help us to tap into this intangible information. Now, my journey into earth-based practice and witchcraft was fully in swing at this time, and it really was an exhilarating time of life for me, with so much growth and learning. I was changing in so many ways. So it was around that time that I met a geomancer that had been employed to work with a local mental health organisation, and his role was to ensure that the site of a new facility that was being built was in alignment with positive earth energies. And really, my tiny mind was blown at that point. My understanding of the world and subtle energy was opening up as he talked about his work and how he approached it. It was a pretty definitive moment for me. So I was finding more and more that what I thought was disparate and separate pieces of the work that I was doing in non-physical energy were fully integrated, and really the practice of house healing and geomancy was very aligned and unified. So I started to realise that there was much more to wellness. There was much more to do with our earth and to the land and to the non-physical aspects of our earthly experience, the world of the subtle energies that I really hadn't thought was a possible cause to illness. Now, in house healing, we broadly look at 3 categories. And within each category there are many different kind of components that we might look into, and I'm going to say diagnose, but I'm just going to share with you some of the big buckets, if you will. So firstly, let's look at geopathic stress. So geopathic stress is a term used to describe the variety of energies that emanate from the earth and rise up and become kind of distorted by man-made and also natural sources. And long-term exposure to these distorted energies can result in discomfort, it can result in weakened immune systems and ultimately ill health. Now, the frequency of the earth is 7.83 hertz, and it's known as the Schumann resonance. And this was after the scientists that identified it. And it is this frequency that inhabitants of the earth, like us, are used, and it equates to balance and wellness. Now, geopathic stress distorts this frequency, and it's the prolonged and intense effect of this that we can really feel in our bodies. So the consequences of this disruption can include disease and dysfunction of a repeating or chronic nature, and often unresponsive to therapeutic intervention. So sleeping long and waking tired, and other dysfunctions of biological rhythms is something that is typical with this. So in his book Dowsing Magic, Graham Gardner says this about geopathic stress. So he says, depending on the strength and the character of the earth energies that are present, a location may be a healthy and beneficial one for human presence and activity. It might be indifferent to a human presence, or it may be potentially harmful and undermine human health at a physical, emotional, mental or spiritual level. Plants and animals have varying sensitivities to earth energies. So some species thrive in locations that are healthy for humans, and other species thrive in areas considered detrimental for humans. So there are therefore no good or bad energies. It's simply ones that humans can healthily relate to, and others that may be more challenging. And so that's Graham Gardner's take on geopathic stress, and I think it's a good one. So things like underground water veins, earth energy lines, detrimental grid patterns and faults in the rocks can all have an impact on a location, and these are things that we can't see, but we can identify them through dowsing. And sometimes we can move to a new home or workplace and feel immediately off, but we don't know why. But sometimes the effects kind of creep up on us, and despite medical tests, treatments, the causes of physical health issues really can't be identified or resolved. So maybe we're tired all the time, or we suffer a restless sleep. Maybe we have aches and pains, we feel down or depressed. There's a really long list of things that we could be experiencing that are caused by geopathic stress. Now, of course, you should always seek medical advice if you have any health concerns at all. So don't immediately connect with your local dowser. Always check them out medically first. Go and visit your GP, get them checked out. But you also might want to engage the services of a house healing practitioner or earth energy dowser to help you determine if there are any geopathic stress factors that are contributing to what's going on for you. So the next bucket is one we call technopathic stress, and this is basically the electromagnetic frequency, so EMF, that's emitted from the electrical equipment that we have in our homes, like microwave ovens and other domestic appliances, TV, computer screens, wiring, Wi-Fi, radio, TV signals, all of those types of things, and they pervade our environment unseen. Now, whether this type of radiation is harmful or not is hotly debated. There are scientific studies, particularly from Europe, that now suggest that prolonged exposure to certain types of EMF can affect the immune system and cause serious health problems, and I will list some of that research below. And more people are really finding themselves suffering from hypersensitivity. So countries set safe exposure limits, and some countries like France, well, they've adopted some lower levels of safe limits than other countries, even taking the steps of mandating infant schools and public buildings to take out Wi-Fi. Now again, all of this is unseen, but it can be detected through dowsing, and the effects of these frequencies can be quite debilitating for some people. Now, I first learned of these in my paranormal work. We would, and still do, look to see if there are any present in the environment that might be causing people to feel a little bit creeped out in certain places. Maybe this is why they've got kind of headaches, feelings of nausea and things like that. You'd really be amazed at how these frequencies can make you feel. Now, when I worked at a local university a number of years ago, I met with a student who really had to drop out of her studies and, was classed as disabled because she couldn't find work because of her sensitivity to EMFs were really so severe. So, for some, we don't realise that we're being affected or impacted, and we're trying to find out answers as to what might be going on for us, and dowsing can help us. Now the third bucket is Geopsychic Stress, and for some people this is a step too far, and others are open to exploring these factors in their home. So when I talk about Geopsychic Stress, I'm really talking about the unbalanced energies and psychic phenomena within a property or building. So these could be present from the current occupants or previous occupants, from the land, or even the objects in the house. So some examples of the typical culprits are earthbound souls, energy imprints, thought forms, power objects, elementals, guardians of the environment, maybe portals to other dimensions, curses, previous land use even. It really is a very interesting list of things that I get to delve into and diagnose to see if there are any present in the location and causing some disruption. And when I say disruption, this could look like, kind of unexplained emotions, arguments, maybe a general discomfort and uneasiness in some parts of the house, to full-blown poltergeist and haunted house phenomena. You might be surprised as to the things that you're sharing your space with that we can diagnose and harmonize through house healing. So diagnosis is only part of the process. I get to heal and harmonize the issues, and this for me is the really fun part of the work, as I get to apply all of my training, all of my knowledge and experience to resolve what I've uncovered through my dowsing diagnosis. So I work with my spirit team to identify the best approach for each issue identified and to take action. So neutralizing, harmonizing, and removal of the issues. Now sometimes I work with the client if I'm guided for them to participate, but for the most part the healing is undertaken by me and my spirit team, and we do this remotely. Now it really is an immensely rewarding work, and I get to unlock the healing potential of a home or landscape. I get to work in partnership with the land, and to make a difference in the lives of people and non-physical energies like spirits and elementals. I really feel that I'm privileged to be able to do this work. Now, practically, house healing work can be undertaken remotely, and I don't have to travel all over the place to be able to help, which is fantastic. So non-location isn't a barrier to this work. We get to connect and interact on the quantum level, and this makes house healing services accessible, convenient, but also affordable when you haven't got travel to factor into that. So if I've piqued your interest a little bit, here are some thoughts as to when maybe a house healing intervention may be helpful. So if you're experiencing physical, mental or emotional issues that the medical profession cannot resolve or find an answer to, maybe loved ones that you share your home with are not sleeping or having restless nights. Maybe it's you. And if you're considering buying a new home and you want to have an assessment of geopathic issues, you can call on a house healing expert. Or maybe if you've bought a new home and you want to harmonize it before you move in. Maybe if you treat people in a clinic setting and you want to ensure that your healing space isn't contributing to the health issue of your clients, and it's fully supporting the healing journey of them. Maybe you're trying to sell a home, but you're finding it difficult. Perhaps you don't look forward to going home because it feels a little bit off in there, so you delay coming home after work, or you feel much better when you are not in the environment itself. So if this is something that you are interested in and you want to explore that a little bit, I do have some different packages available depending upon what you need. I can just do one of the buckets like Geopathic Stress diagnosis, diagnosis, maybe before you go ahead and purchase a home, or indeed before you build a new home and want to work with the landscape to site the home in the most optimum space there. And and I have a package where I just work on geopathic and technopathic stress, and of course I have the full house healing package where I look at all of the aspects that might be affecting your home or your workplace. So my work includes a consultation, I do the diagnosis, and then of course the healing and harmonization. And I also check in and follow up with all my clients a couple of weeks following a healing, just to make sure that things have resolved, and if not, maybe some more healing needs to happen. So if you have any questions on my house healing work, and maybe you want to explore engaging my services a little bit more, do shoot me an email, which I have in the description box below. And you can also check out my website, which is also linked below and that has further information. Now, if you're interested in training as a house healer, I do currently have an in-person 12-month immersion program. Or I can offer that remotely as well via Zoom. Again, if this is something you're interested to, reach out via email and we can set up a time to chat. So thank you for taking the time to watch the video, and ta-ta for now.